years of real estate investment and life experience. Welcome to my Happy Life and Smart Life channel. Hi, today I would like to share with you the residential investor's gold mine. I have shared enough mysteries of the residential investors. Today, I want to share with you some good news. There's one kind of tenant that is the gold mine for the residential investors to dig gold from. I share with you a lot of negative problems with the residential owners. The very first problem is non-payment. Tenants don't pay the rent, then you have to evict them. The second negative aspect of owning a residential property, turnover rate is too high, like not stable, 1 or 2 years and 3 or 4 years, no stability. The third problem is that bad tenants would have the tendency to damage your properties. These three headaches have been haunting the residential investors. Now, I want to introduce a kind of tenants that can solve all these three major problems. This kind of tenants are called Section 8 tenants. Section 8 is a federal program that assists those low-income families by subsidizing 80 to 100% of rental payments. Since it is a federal program, that means it's all over the United States. The advantage of being a Section 8 landlord are as follows. Number one, rental income is backed and guaranteed by the government. A big percentage of this Section 8 tenants' rental payments are paid by the Section 8 program of each city or state. This government subsidized amount is from 80% to 100%. That means the Section 8 tenants are paying either 20% to zero. There is almost never a non-payment case. You never need to evict a Section 8 tenant for non-payment. The government is always honoring all the lease agreements with the Section 8 landlords. As a real estate investor, our goal is to get rental income. So if government back your payments, you don't need to worry about non-payment. What you need to do as a Section 8 landlord is to just provide an account for the government agency for direct deposit. Every month, on the first day of the month, you will receive the rental income from the government directly deposited into your linked bank account. Number two advantage is stability. Lots of Section 8 tenants are long-term tenants or even lifetime tenants. I used to have 3 Section 8 tenants in one of my A-unit properties. I started to be a Section 8 landlord in 1996. I sold that building in the year of 2007. 11 years later, those 3 Section 8 tenants were still there. Last year, I asked my friend who purchased my Section 8 tenant building, I asked him if those 3 Section 8 tenants are still there. He said yes, they're still there. And he expected them to stay for much longer. Who knows how long? During my ownership of that property, those 3 Section 8 tenants were there for 11 years. And after I sold my property for 15 years, those 3 tenants are still there. So altogether, up to now, they have been in that apartment, in that building for 26 years. A very stable tenant. Not like tenants on the street. They usually sign a 1-year lease, 2-year lease, and then they move out. The turnover rate is so high, and every tenant move out and you need to renovate the apartment, to clean, to paint, to replace those damaged furniture or equipment. Section 8 tenants, since they usually stay for a very long time, even lifetime, so you have the stability of not worrying the gap time or the vacancy time or the turnover all the time. Number 3 advantage is Section 8 tenants usually have the feeling of belonging. They consider your apartment or your house their permanent home. That's why they usually take good care of your property. They don't want to get into trouble. If they get into trouble, the landlord may choose not to renew the lease. So they usually take good care of your properties. Like my former 3 Section 8 tenants, they did their own painting, they replaced the flooring, they did lots of things to beautify or renovate my apartments without even bothering me. For the 11 years I was the Section 8 landlord, I never had any trouble with those 3 tenants. Now I still have 1 Section 8 tenant in one of my investment properties in New York. So far the payment is good, don't have any trouble. Section 8 tenants almost solved all the residential property investors' major problems. At least there would not be non-payment cases arising from the Section 8 tenants. If you want to be a Section 8 landlord, you don't need to buy houses in the high-end area like good school and fancy houses. You don't need to, because the government only focus on safety of the apartment or house. They never cared about if you use fancy stuff to renovate the house. They never cared about if your house or your apartment is in the good school district. They don't care about how much you pay to buy this property. You can buy in a regular community or even rough area. That way your purchase price would be low and your return rate would be high. And you have stable income coming into your property without worrying about non-payment. If you renovate a house, you don't need to use, fancy or expensive material. You can just use anything from Home Depot. They don't focus on the condition or material of your apartment or house. They only care about your house or your apartment being safe. Window guards, it doesn't cost much, Smoke alarm doesn't cost much. You can go to the rough area and buy a cheap house and just put in those safety equipment to make sure that you can pass the government inspection. And that's about it. Very simple. I have an audience. She asked me a question. I have only $10,000 cash and I want to invest in real estate. What is your suggestion? I told her, go online and search for Section 8 program in your area. Then you can buy a house of $50,000, putting $10,000 down, and then rent it out to Section 8 tenants. That way you can use as little as $10,000 for your real estate investment. Otherwise, $10,000 is nothing. I told her that's the only choice, and that's the best choice for you. So if anybody is interested in being a Section 8 landlord, it is a very good choice for you to get stable income. Section 8 pays higher than market rent. Also, it increases every year by 3%. If you sign a 2-year lease, it's 5%. Recently, I just got a letter from New York Section 8 office. They told me the supply of house and apartments for Section 8 tenants are too short. So New York City Section 8 program provided between $7,000 to $9,000 bonus payment to be a new Section 8 landlord for each new account. For the landlords to renovate or put into safety features to turn the apartments or house houses into Section 8 standard. I just received that a few weeks ago. That means the market in New York is still pretty big and open to new Section 8 landlords. Hope everybody can enjoy being Section 8 landlords, especially those people, those investors with a very limited fund to invest in real estate market. That's about it. Thank you. See you next time.